I'll be honest with y'all, before today I had written off crop circles as entirely man-made legends that only serve to discredit alien discourse, but then I went down a heck of a rabbit hole. Like, I'm not even gonna tell you how many hours I spent on the internet, but what I learned completely changed my point of view. So, question for you, do you believe crop circles are the work of aliens? Let me know in the comments and let's see if I can prove what I learned. Back in 2017, hundreds of circles in the ground of the Amazon rainforest that date back thousands of years were discovered, but scientists didn't know what purpose they served. So, the rainforest has long been thought of as a pristine ecosystem that was untouched by humans before the Europeans arrived, but new research actually showed that something manipulated the landscape many centuries before their arrival. Modern deforestation in the Amazon led to the discovery of more than 450 geometrically shaped ditches, known as geoglyphs, which occupy roughly 13,000 square kilometers in the acre state of Brazil. These circular geoglyphs went unnoticed for centuries because they were covered by trees. But now, thanks to deforestation, they're visible from the air. But here's the thing, researchers don't know what function they served. Archaeologists didn't find enough artifacts to determine it was a village, and the design make a defensive or military purpose kind of unlikely. So if you're a regular around here, you already know that I have a theory that aliens used hieroglyphs as a way to communicate with humans many years ago, and now that it's fallen out of regular conversation with humans, aliens can't communicate with us as easily. So for folks like me who believe that, hieroglyphs appearing to resemble planes and helicopters and artwork done thousands of years ago, they've been hailed as unequivocal proof that the ancient Egyptians were visited by beings who brought them advanced technology from the future, or just came to say hello, with a lot of supporters of the theory, mainly myself included, saying if the ancient civilization was putting helicopters and modern spacecrafts in their work, then they must have seen them or at least observed images of them. Why can't crop circles be the same, like the ones made by aliens? It's a way to send us important messages, kind of like a big billboard, but the sad thing is we just can't understand. But now we have proof that's been happening for much longer than most people think. Speaking of which, the first ever crop circle ever reported was in 1678 in the Mowing Devil, or Strange News out of Hertfordshire, which was an English woodcut pamphlet. According to the reporting, a farmer and crop mower were arguing up the cost of harvesting the farmer's oat field. The farmer was furious at the mower's price and stormed off swearing that the devil himself should harvest the crop, which, I get it. Prices are expensive. The economy sucks. Well, that night a dazzling light lit up the oat field, and in the morning the farmer discovered perfectly round circles in his crops. And he was so terrified because he thought it was only, neatly mowed by the devil or some infernal spirit. And he was like, yep, I'm not gonna harvest that. He abandoned it. He's like, My take? The aliens watching from afar saw the perfect opportunity to show off their abilities and help a human out. Sadly, Buddy didn't receive the message well because he couldn't translate it. I wonder which side of the argument the aliens were siding with by sending the message. I'm assuming they were probably trying to warn humans against messing with the devil, since I'd hope by now we all know that, that's bad. But back in the 1600s, I don't think it was even illegal to have coitus with the devil yet or demons. It is now, but it took a while. Don't ask how I know this, I know way too much about things. Back in 2013, an elaborate crop circle in a barley field about 6 miles southeast of Salinas appeared to have landed from out of nowhere when a YouTube video depicting its discovery made its way onto the lovely interwebs. And by late afternoon on the day that it went up, news of the circle outside of Chualar had drawn up quite a few curious onlookers from throughout the valley. Stamped right in the middle of the field, the design covered about an acre and looked like a strange computer chip with dots in the middle that had some folks thinking maybe it's Braille, maybe it's Morse code, maybe the aliens are evolving their language. Now, a lot of folks were like, it's a hoax. But with the landowner being like, I don't know, I don't want this, the theories were kind of multiplying, kind of like rabbits. Security guards were, outside of the property by Monday morning. It was they were being a little hush-hush about who their client was, but they were like, we're here to just stop this circus. We don't want it, not fun, which only adds to the credibility in my book. Now, they did lead reporters to the circle because they were like, well, if you're gonna be here, you might as well at least see it. And apparently from the ground level, it didn't look like a lot, just trampled on grass, cut at different angles. The property does belong to Scott and Debbie Anthony, and apparently at the time, Debbie was sick in bed. Somebody tried to call her and she's like, yeah, I heard about this. I don't know, I haven't been out there. Leave me alone. A man who identified himself as Hector at the ranch office said, I haven't even been able to get out there to inspect the design. So, I know. Back to the YouTube video. 2 men appear to drive along the canyon road before sunrise and they see flashing lights in a field. They get out of the car, hop a fence, which don't do that folks, and they enter the cultivated field. And they're like, dude, are you seeing this? Among the first people to spot the crop circle from above, not just the ground, were Julie and Pat Belanger, co-owners of the 11th Aerial Photography Squadron Company. They were apparently flying in a Robinson R44 helicopter from the South County Airport in San Martin towards Carmel when they were like, that's interesting. Apparently that area is normally not super exciting to fly through, but then they were like, whoa, That's new. What do you got going on here? According to Julie, who has been doing photography for 20 years, specifically aerial photography, she's never seen anything like it. Joe Pizzini, the chief operating officer of Ocean Mist Farms, which is one of the largest growers in the area, was like, I've never heard about crop circles around here before. What's going on with this? Look, I'm just saying, if you don't want a media circus, odds are it's more real. How about we fast forward to 2015 to this crop circle in Massachusetts. It was barely visible from the road, but a crop circle that appeared in a field off of Old Gray Station Road back and then got a lot of attention. A longtime crop circle researcher in Massachusetts was determined to figure out if the circle was produced by an energy force or if it was man-made. Nancy Talbot said, I asked folks to take some samples. By the way, she's one of the 3 founders of BLT Research Team Incorporated, which is a crop circle research group, which I didn't even know existed until today. According to her, they haven't had a lot of background with hay, but she can normally tell by a few plant examples if the circle is real. Oh, BLT, by the way, not a sandwich. It stands for the last names of the 3 people who created the research company: John Burke, William Levengood, and Talbot. Burke, a New York businessman, and Talbot, a music producer with some research background, helped to gather the data that Levengood, a biophysicist, used to make findings about the mysteries. By the way, the location of this one is the exact field where a crop circle was found about 2 years ago, around the same time of year. Now, it's possible that the energy that creates non-man-made crop circles is drawn to certain earth features, such as limestone under the soil or a nearby water supply. Like, for example, crop circles found in Europe are often located in areas where there are chalk deposits underground. Talbot said research has shown that a crop circle that is not man-made, made by aliens, exhibits changes to plants inside the circle when compared to the same type of plants outside the circle, but from the same field. So it changes their chemistry. Talbot began investigating and researching crop circles like 25 years ago when she read an article about them appearing in fields in Europe. And the team's interest was like, okay, what's causing these? If it's not man-made, what's doing it? Aliens! She organized field teams around the world because, well, these crop circles were starting to pop up everywhere. And the changes that occurred, regardless of what country they were in, the same basic changes were consistent when you compare the sample plants from inside the circle to the ones that were outside of it. Researchers determined that the plants inside were exposed to brief bursts of intense radiation, like microseconds, and that's not normal. Apparently the radiation kind of turns the moisture inside the plant stems into steam, and then the steam expands. And that expansion and the buildup of steam blows a hole in the lower stem nodes, which are tougher material. And in the top nodes of the plants, which are more pliable, the stem stretches and often bends. The research results indicate that when the findings show the plant node changes, it's not mechanical pressure that caused the circle. It wasn't something that landed there. Now, the research goes even further to explain the burst of energy as well as changes in the soil that include magnetic materials only visible under a microscope, and changes to seed from seed crops where circles have been found. According to Talbot, there have been numerous misrepresentations about crop circles and what creates them. But this way, she can be like, okay, this one was man-made, you're just a little too creative with your lawnmower, and what's real? So, if aliens exist, and how could there not be life forms out there? Some of them might come down here periodically. And if there are alien creatures, they're out there. There's an assumption that life forms from somewhere else would be like us. Some might be, some might not be. It could just be the plasma is being directed towards the surface of the Earth to get our attention, like a calling card. Now, it doesn't have to be a threatening, hostile, aggressive act. And look, personally speaking, out of all the instances and cases that I researched for today, this was the one that caught my attention the most and got my brain going. We have science out here proving the difference between hoaxes and crop circles created by unknown beings. What more could you ask for? Okay, only specifically when it comes to crop circles. We don't have time to go through my alien wish list. Damn thing is as long as a Sears wish book by now. And if you'll allow me, I'm gonna end today with a little bit of a deviance, and that's how the governments around the world are trying to cover up that crop circles are real to further discredit true believers. Colin Andrews, a British researcher and former investigator for the British Ministry of Defense, claims that he was approached by a CIA operative who tried to convince him to publicly state that crop circles were a hoax. He believes that this was part of a larger effort to discredit the phenomenon and discourage serious investigation. Other researchers point to the involvement of individuals connected to intelligence agency in the crop circle community. They argue that these individuals are used to spread disinformation and confuse the public about the true nature of them. Whether these claims hold any truth or not, the presence of intelligence agencies in the debate surrounding crop circles raises questions about their motives and the role they play in shaping public opinion. One of the key figures in the crop circle phenomenon is John Lundberg, the founder of CircleMakers.org. He claims responsibility for creating many of the intricate and elaborate crop formations that have puzzled researchers and enthusiasts enthusiast for years. But some folks believe that his work is part of a disinformation campaign orchestrated by intelligence agencies. According to these researchers, Lundberg and his group, known as the Circle Makers, are funded and supported by intelligence agencies to create these crop circles that are so elaborate and spread the disinformation. They argue that Lundberg's close association with those agencies and the highly choreographed nature of his circle creations suggest a deeper agenda at play. Now, while it is difficult to prove or disprove these claims, the presence of individuals like Lundberg within the crop circle community raise a lot of questions about the authenticity and underlying motives of formations. It's a reminder that not everything is as it seems and that the truth might be a little complex. And that's it for me once again, folks. I've been Alexa, your resident ooky spooky girly, and if you enjoyed my ramblings today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you weren't already, hit the bell for more alien chatter from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.